Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, Nightmare Neighbor Tried to Kill Me Inside Our Neighborhood, Crashed My Car. I never expected that I would not only have to file a restraining order against someone but also take them to court. However, the past year has surprised me, as it did most of us. A little backstory before we get to the juicy part of this whole ordeal. I lived in a nice, gated community and have enjoyed my career as a school principal. Many people in the community know me and I'd like to think that I have a wonderful relationship with my kids and their parents. I have never in my life been harassed or threatened, until I met the neighbor across the street. She was not new to the community, but she had just moved houses. We lived in a smaller town, so mostly everyone knew each other through mutual friends and whatnot. As soon as the lady across the street moved in, her behavior became more and more erratic and aggressive after she found out I was the principal of the biggest school in town. At first, I thought that it was something personal against me. I would leave for work in the morning, and she would flip me her middle finger. On one of these occasions, she even started yelling profanities at me when I began backing out of my driveway. She had never directly said these things to my face or been aggressive, but her actions spoke very loudly. On another occasion, the next-door neighbor, who was a substitute teacher in the school district, had came over to chat with my husband and me. All three of us were sitting on our porch when we saw the lady across the street pacing up and down the sidewalk, with her phone pointed towards us. It had appeared that she was videotaping us, and honestly, I was glad that there was another witness to this behavior. I had not spoken to anyone about her aggressive and strange behavior, because our community is mostly tight-knit, and I did not want to be the one to cause any drama or animosity. However, with my other neighbor present, I learned that I was not the only one. This neighbor had some issues with her as well, after the lady found out she was a substitute teacher. I had seen some kids in her house and playing in the yard several times, and I wondered if she had an issue with a teacher or school staff that led to this behavior that she seemed to have towards teachers, me, school staff, etc. There were many more instances of this weird behavior, such as her videotaping my daughter walking our dog. Or, in another instance, we were sitting inside in our living room, and we saw her walk her dog from across the street to do its business on our lawn. Her behavior was getting more and more weird, and I knew eventually we would have to do something. This was not okay, and while normally I would have to problem being direct and confront her, there was just something very off-putting about her. Well, turns out that I would have to do something sooner than later, because about a week later, she purposely tried to hit me head-on and caused me to crash my car, completely destroying it. Yes, you read that right. I was coming home from running errands on a weekend, and while I was turning onto my street, there was the crazy neighbor coming out of her driveway. However, she did not seem to be following the natural path of the road. As a matter of fact, she was heading towards me. As I realized what was happening, she speeded up and I ended up swerving my car out of instinct. This led to me crashing my car into a streetlight pole on the sidewalk. I was terribly shaken up about the whole thing, and many neighbors came to see what all the commotion was about. By then, she had speeded off and was of course, nowhere to be found. What makes this whole ordeal even worse, is that my son and daughter were playing in the front yard, which means they saw everything. The neighbors called the police officers while my husband tried to calm me down, while comforting our kids at the same time. The whole situation was absolutely chaos, and it was the last straw for me. Upon the police arriving, I had let them know about the previous instances of her behavior. This is not the first time that someone had called the police officers on her. As a matter of fact, I learned that various school staff and school district employees have had several issues with her. One of them being a school bus driver, who had reported her after she threatened to choke him in front of a school bus full of kids. I also learned that in another school, she had been banned after causing a scene in front of teachers and staff which led them to buckle up on security presence on the campus. I ended up filing a restraining order against her, which ended up giving me a major peace of mind. She was not allowed to contact me by any means, nor was she allowed to be 500 feet of my home. Which means that she had to move. Not only that, but she was also ordered not to come within 500 feet of my workplace, which was considered the entire school district. Although I never found out why she was so hostile and threatening towards school staff and employees, I was just damn glad she could not come near me or my family. Hopefully, she would never be allowed to. The next story is titled, Land Developer Controls HOA. Sells me lot and 6 months later adds restriction that I can only build a one-level house. A company developed a new neighborhood and sells vacant lots. This is on a hill in Washington state, so there's an HOA with building restrictions to preserve views. So height has an X1 to X2 limit for 2-story houses, and Y for 1-story houses. Nothing in the entire HOA about restricting which lots can build 1 or 2-story houses, but there is the standard language that says they can waive or add restrictions to any lot as they see fit, etc. I bought a lot, had plans drafted, and then I submit to HOA 2-story house, plus daylight basement, which is standard for all houses since it's a sloped hill. Height is within the stated limits. They answer back that the house is too tall, that it should be at the lowest limit of the stated 2-story height, but that also it should be a one-level house. I answer back that I can redo it to be at the lowest stated height, but there is no rule that I have to build a one-level home, and they did not disclose this when I bought the lot. The HOA is fully controlled by the land developer until 75% of lots are sold. At this point I consult an attorney, who tells me that I should be in the right. There was no disclosure on a very big limitation, while they even had the color and type of wood for the fence in there, so not like they can say it was implied or forgotten. The attorney told me unless they change their minds in the appeal, I'll probably have to file a lawsuit, which might be completed in front of a judge, I forget the terminology, if everyone agrees on the facts. Otherwise, it would go to trial jury, which it would take 10+ months to be scheduled and can cost from $50,000 plus. Of course, no guarantees I'd win, which I understand. Here comes the turn. They realize the HOA rules actually do not define number of levels for lots, and they formally change the rules. My lot, and some others, now have to build a one-level. This is 6 to 8 months after I bought it. What's weird is that there's only a 3 feet height difference in restriction between one level and 2 levels. This wouldn't even help the neighbors with views, as they say. I honestly would have thought twice about buying if I knew they would limit me to a one-level house. For personal reasons, I simply don't want to live or build a one-level house. I know I have to consult with an attorney again, but I appeal to the mass wisdom of Reddit, oh boy, to prepare. Now that they changed the rules, do I even have a case to force them to let me build a story 2 house, like the rules stated when I bought it? By changing those, they did admit there was no restriction before. How should I pick the right attorney for this? Any questions I should ask, like an interview, to make sure I hire an attorney who will actually try to win? Is the first attorney right? Could this be settled by a judge in a couple of months, or would this have to go to a trial jury and make me wait a year or more? My goal is to be able to build my house within the minimum guidelines stated when I bought, the lowest height for a 2-story house. Are my changes of winning better to ask for this, or should I ask for dollar compensation and for them to buy me back plus costs? I'd rather keep and build, but if I can get enough dollars, I might be open to that. Any advice or input is appreciated. This has been really stressful for me and my family. We spent months and a lot of dollars designing our house and everything is turned upside down. Update. A bit late to update, but basically, I found a good lawyer who seemed more experienced and thought that they, the developer, can't just change the height limit given they sold me the lot, even if they hide behind the HOA. But was honest that a trial would be expensive and would take a very long time, especially since this was during COVID. Fortunately, he wanted to first build a file about everything, send it to the developer's lawyer, kinda threatening but also very factual. And that worked. Their lawyer accepted our offer right away, as long as we sign some papers that we won't sue them for this or anything else. I didn't ask for any damages or lawyer's fees, I was just happy that I get to build my house the way I wanted. Not sure what their lawyer told their employees, but ever since then they've been very prompt and nice approving everything. Altogether it took about 6 months since their initial denial until it was over, and probably around $1,500. And we did build our dream house, whole, another story, moved in, and now the HOA is turned over to the owners. We made lots of new friends and we're planning to vote and make sure it stays a laid-back HOA. The next story is titled, President's Day HOA Drama. Today was quite the drama event on my neighborhood's Facebook page. For context, I should say that the HOA isn't super picky. I haven't gotten any notices, but the dues seem a little high considering all we have is a playground park with a basketball court, and some walking trails. I should also mention it's a politically conservative area which will come into context later. For the drama it's best to start from the beginning. So, a couple of months ago at an HOA meeting the HOA announced they had started looking for quotes regarding American flag placements at the front of the community. At first thought that doesn't sound so bad. Maybe 4 to 5 flags for all the entrances, it would look nice. Oh boy was I wrong. Turns out the actual quote was for 80 to 90 flags at $2,800 to $3,200 for placement 7 days of the year. This was called into question in the community Facebook page where people questioned the need for 80 to 90 flags with such a high price at $3,000. Especially considering it was for holidays? So did the HOA as a lovely democracy allow a vote on the number of flags? Nope. It wasn't even up for discussion. They voted yes. So come to today where the flags are put up for President's Day. There's literally 80 to 90 flags put up at the entrances to the community and you guessed it, it looks bad. It's excessive and looks a little ridiculous. Here's the thing, I don't even mind American flags at the front. Having like 20 flags nicely placed for President's Day is fine, but near 100 is just too many. Hell, it would have made more sense to go all out on July 4th. It looks like a presidential parade. Except this is not July 4th and Joe Biden is not visiting my neighborhood. It's President's Day, a day more celebrated by car dealerships and mattress firms than the average citizen. Now here comes the juicy part. Someone made a post saying they love the flags. However, some people started to post their opinions regarding the number of flags and how it looks excessive, and that's how the drama started. Within the hour people were arguing about the flags. As I mentioned before, it's a conservative area, so anyone having a different opinion regarding the American flag made them go on the defensive. As copied directly from someone, well, I thought it looked great. God forbid we show some patriotism. Someone will always bitch. Even some coming to the HOA's defense, just a thought here. I don't understand why the HOA members and their decisions get so much hate sometimes. I think we could be a bit kinder, understanding and appreciative of the work they do. I promise you they don't sit in a room all by themselves trying to think up ways to upset people. If you have an idea, opinion or question, bring it to a meeting and give them the chance to hear it. I thought the flags were cool. Pro-flags started to call the comments disrespectful, which was a surprise considering every comment I had read was respectful. One such example is, I love this country and I am grateful and appreciative of all who serve. 4 flags at each entrance would be appropriate. 80+ flags is excessive and fiscally irresponsible. But the biggest fight of the night was between a woman and the wife of an HOA board member. The wife commented saying that, just a reminder that you chose to live here, and if you don't like the HOA and their decisions you can move out of this community. Boldly the other women responded to her rudeness saying that people deserve a say in their community. The wife doubled down. This continued until the real juicy slaps started hitting. Now in perhaps a big brain move, the woman looked at the husband's, who is an HOA board member, Facebook profile and screenshotted all his anti-Joe Biden posts. Then posting them and then responding to the woman say, if you and your husband don't like Joe Biden and the decisions he makes, you can leave the country. To which the wife got angry and started hurling insults, calling the other women a bully, causing a chain of back and forth comments where the wife of the board member was constantly trying to make herself look like the victim despite being the one that was disrespectful to people. Eventually the wife stopped responding, but she did get called out hard. The post was then locked in order to cease hostilities. All I can say is that I had the time of my life enjoying this drama, so hopefully you liked hearing it too. The last story is titled, Company Pressure Cleaned My House by Accident. Wants Payment. Florida. I came home to my driveway and home pressure washed. The company had completed and had left prior to me arriving. They came to the wrong house. I'm 123 Fake Street and they were supposed to be on 123 Fake Avenue. Both houses look nearly identical. They came to my door a few days later and left a bill for $450. I called them and explained I never ordered services and to please produce a signed contract. Their response was they will place a lien on my home and sue me. I will show up to any court date. But how do I prevent them from placing a lien? Update. Well, it's resolved. It was not a scam attempt. A company had purchased about 20 homes in my neighborhood for rental investment and wanted them cleaned. It's a neighborhood in which nearly every home looks the same, just reversed. I found that out, as earlier today, the property manager came to my home thinking it was also one of their rentals due to GPS misdirection. We chatted and I explained the issue I was having with the company they hired to pressure wash. He got on his phone, speakerphone, and called the company owner. Basically, telling the owner they cleaned the wrong home and had put the investment group at potential liability for damage and why were they trying to charge me. The owner immediately backed down and apologized for the misunderstanding. The property manager apologized and said he would note in the system to be on the correct street when visiting the correct home. Well, that's that. My stress level has been slightly reduced. Thank you Reddit lawyers and armchair lawyers. Thank you for listening.